Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we'll be creating this peacock using Derwent Inktense pencils. So all these details and this drawing would be created using Derwent Inktense, and I'll take you through the process. So let's get started. As you can see, I start by laying down the body color. I'm using fuchsia here for the main colors and deep indigo for the darker highlights. So I start down by laying down the colors on the body of the peacock, and first, as you can see, I'm applying the colors dry and in any direction, so it's not like I'm following a pattern here. I'm just trying to get my blocks of colors onto the peacock's body. Once I have my colors in, I start by going over with a brush. I guess you cannot see it here, but I'm cleaning my brush regularly, and I'm going over the body with the brush from lighter end to darker end. And here I'm picking up some colors to darken it better. I'm picking up some colors directly from the pencils and then applying it on the peacock, so that ways I can get more color in. Now here I'm making the feathers of the peacock in a similar fashion, like getting my basic colors onto the paper first, and then after the basic colors are onto the paper, all the fuchsia, again I'm using fuchsia and deep indigo for this. And once I'm done getting all the colors onto the pattern, I'll go over it with a brush, and I slowly go over each of them to make sure that the patterns are visible and clear. So I'll go over each of them separately with a brush, and I recommend a thin brush for such details. After doing the details of the body feathers, I'm starting with these eyes on the peacock feathers, and I'm going over each of them. I already sketched them out using a Inktense pencil itself with a very light hand, but now I'm making these eyes and going over each of them individually and separately. So as you can see, I'll sketch them all out. The colors I'm using again is deep indigo, fuchsia and apple green, and a bit of deep green at some places. So after making the eyes, I start going over them individually with a brush. And the reason I want each of them to be made individually is because I don't want to mix the colors. I want to make sure that each of the eye is reflected separately. So as you can see, I'm now going over all of them individually with a brush and activating the paints as it turns into like beautiful water based colors. So after making the eyes, I start with the feathers, and I go ahead with the linings of the feather using baked earth shade. I've used it like very lightly so that the color is not too dark, and then I will go over it with feather details using teal green, and I'll get all the details onto the paper before I go over it with a brush. Once I go over it with a brush, I make sure that the impressions or the feathers remain, the lines as you can see them remain, and only thing that changes is a little bit of color is activated to cover the white space, but those lines are retained to make sure that the feather effect is there, and I make sure it's continued all throughout the feathers. And now this is done. I hope you like it. Please let me know in the comments below.